Howdy YouTube family, it's Bolt SRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. So, do you guys want to talk about the biggest party for CRNAs of the year? Every year they have this party in DC, it's called Mid-Year Assembly. And normally you have to be an SRNA or a CRNA to get backstage look at this and to come, but you guys are lucky because I videoed it for you and I'm going to give you the backstage look at it. So let's get into it. This begins my flight to 2019's AANA Mid-Year Assembly. I arrived in DC at the hotel that's been the same hotel for the last couple years. It's a very nice hotel. I forget, Grand Hyatt, that's the name of it. And when you walk into the lobby, it's kind of got that grand feeling. And this is actually the next day. I jumped up to the next day and I'm going down and getting my registration packet together. There's a whole long set of escalators that take you down to a whole bunch of different conference rooms and banquet halls and stuff. This is one of the first ones that I saw of the meetings, and this is pretty typical of mid-year. You usually have your first 3 days of mid-year, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I think even some of Monday. You have these lectures, and people get up, they talk. There's tons of different topics they speak about. Of course, all are going to be related to CRNAs and anesthesia, but there's a lot of energy in these talks. There's a lot of powerful speeches, and there's a lot of people who get informed and activated on political stuff. So this was the lunch that I got invited to by some of my classmates. So there are multiple committees, I think 8 or maybe 10 committees that serve the board of directors for the AANA. And each of the committees are allowed to have one student who's elected by the president of the AANA each year. And so a bunch of the students had messaged me previously and asked to get together for lunch in DC when I arrived. And so this is us getting together at this restaurant to talk. I wasn't sure exactly what the topic was going to be about, but there were some changes that they were wanting to enact and some resolutions and things like that. So they wanted us all to kind of get together and be on the same page with those things, and hopefully we can make some positive change. But you'll have to stay tuned to see what happens with all of that.
Makes me want to serve and why I'm so passionate about the education committee. Coming to mid-year has been so influential to me because what happens at the federal level politically comes down to affecting education, and we are the future. If we can't educate SRNAs, we will not lead to effective CRNAs, and that's my passion.
So I chose to serve on the professional development committee because I wanted to ensure that while I was a student and was absorbed in the activity of educating myself, that I was still active professionally in the way I had been as a ICU nurse previously, get a chance to see what it's like as a CRNA, as well as feel like I'm an active participant in my own profession.
For the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, it was the first year that this committee was formed, so I was going to be the first national representative, student representative for that committee. It's because I believe we are in the midst of cultural changes that are good for our profession. Our profession needs to look like our patient population does, so it's important for us to not only talk about diversity, but also about inclusion.
So the reason why I actually want to serve is I just want to be a face for the AANA, because for the Foundation Committee, what we actually do is we don't just promote the profession, CRNAs and SRNAs, but we actually we promote the profession about research and just getting involved, and it actually maintains our profession, because without the research to show our value and our quality, we can't maintain our profession adequately like we should be.
All right, and then after lunch we jump back into more meetings. This is actually a meeting with, I think, some senators and some lobbyists who serve the AANA, and they're giving advice on how you should talk to your senators and your House of Representative members the following day when we were all supposed to go out and meet and shake hands with legislators and advocate for CRNAs. Then that night, a lot of previous my university alum had asked for us students to get together. They were going to take us all out to a fancy dinner. So this is a bunch of my classmates and previous alumni who are treating us all out to a very nice, huge Italian restaurant. If you have the opportunity to go to Carmine's when you're in DC, hit it up. The dessert alone, which that's called the Titanic there, is very much worth the visit. So go there, get the Titanic. You can thank me later. Then the next day, we're jumping on the subway system they use in DC, and we're getting all dressed up and heading to the Senate. We're going to talk to the senators that represent our region on the national level. And walking around DC here, it's kind of cool to be walking around these different big, majestic buildings with all of your fellow CRNAs and SRNAs, and you're all in suits and ties and all going out to advocate for your profession and try and make a difference in the future of healthcare. So these are our two senators. So that's us sitting down in a conference room, which happens often in DC, where you'll sit down and you'll talk with the legislative aides, which are pretty much their team of right-hand men and women for the senators and the House of Representatives. And they're going to listen to all of your needs, and they're going to write them all down, and then they will keep them in mind for later when bills are coming up to be passed that may be negative for CRNAs. They will remember sitting down with you, talking about your issues, talking about things that were important to you, and knowing who their constituents are, they'll vote in favor of you and not against you. Then that night, after all of our legislative meetings, all the Tennessee Association of Nurse Anesthetist students and CRNAs were invited out to a very fancy restaurant, and I think it's called Ralph's. I can't remember exactly, but every year Tana invites all of us out, and they pay for everything. They cater, or they buy out a banquet room like this, and they pretty much have everything free for you. Open bar, which I don't drink, but all the others who did were able to drink and able just to have fun and kind of celebrate a really good mid-year. This is the bar that they had, and I videoed this bartender who I think she was a little annoyed at me because I was videoing her, but I just thought it was so cool that they had bought out our own bartender. And then this is me goofing off at the mic. Oh, it's Clyde's, that's the name. Clyde's is the restaurant. Yeah, that's me goofing off. And then this is everybody just sitting down, eating, fellowship, and just talking about all the great talks and the legislative wins and the advocating that we did throughout the whole week.
Well, all right. What did you guys think? I know when I say party, you might have a different viewpoint from what I just showed you. That may be more of a low-key party, but to me, that's a party. That's my kind of party. So let me know in the comments below if that looks like something you would like to go to. If you have more questions about it, I actually have a video that I did last year with maybe some more footage from 2018's mid-year assembly. There's a lot of other stuff that I wasn't able to show you guys because I actually was in a Valley Board Review course that's mandatory for my school. I was in that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the first part of Sunday. So I actually showed up in DC late Sunday night, and I was only able to make it really on Monday and Tuesday, and then flew back Wednesday. So I only got the last tail end of it. So if you wanted the full experience of mid-year assembly, you of course come on the Friday and you'd be there the whole time. This year's mid-year assembly was actually very memorable because there's an upcoming topic that's being voted on in August by all of the CRNAs that are members of the AANA. The vote is on if they should change the title of the American Association of Nurse Anesthetists to the title American Association of Nurse Anesthesiologists. So that's a big movement going on in the anesthesia world right now. Dentists have started calling themselves dental anesthesiologists, at least the ones who go through anesthesia training. There's veterinarians who do some anesthesia on animals, and they're pushing for the titlement of veterinarian anesthesiologist. And so, and physicians, of course, call themselves physician anesthesiologists per their ASA. So a big move by the AANA lately is to change the title to nurse anesthesiologist, and that be part of our organization's national name change. There is a lot of heated debate about this, even within CRNAs. So this year's mid-year was really interesting because it gave me the opportunity to see what some of the higher ups and the movers and shakers really thought about that topic and various other topics that were discussed at the meeting. So if you get a chance to go, if you're a CRNA or an SRNA, you should definitely go, because you really will get to see behind the scenes of some of the big decisions and talk to the people who are the decision makers, who may change what you call yourself in the future, what you can do in your practice, and legislative changes that may happen in your state or on the national level that may have huge impacts and far-reaching impacts on your future practice. So it's a very important meeting. If you get to go, you need to go. And if you have any questions about it, you can always hit me up. You can follow me on Instagram, it's BoltSRNA. You can follow me on Twitter, it's BoltSRNA. And of course, you can contact me here and comment down below. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll make more videos like it. Otherwise, that's Bolt out.